Hey, yo, what's going on right now? You're watching Casino is the Name. And in this video, I want to tell you guys how you can make $109,000 a year working from home in the city of Atlanta with an accounting degree. You can actually make more money than that. But I wanted to talk about Atlanta. The reason why I'm talking about Atlanta is because I could have said you can make more money, like $114,000 a year, working from home in DC. The problem with that is DC cost of living is much, much higher than Atlanta. So 109,000 goes way further in Atlanta than it does in DC. So if you had the option to choose between living in DC versus living in Atlanta, I would always tell you your lifestyle is probably going to be better based off your salary living in Atlanta than it would be in DC. That's the only reason why I'm using Atlanta. Besides that, I live in Atlanta, right? But I will say that is the reason why I'm only using Atlanta for this example. Now, just last year, GS13 Step 1 paid out at $104,000 a year. This year, they had 2024, they had a 5 point something percent raise, and that took that salary to $109,000. And you can work these jobs remotely. Now, I am going to discuss this position. Now, before I even go into that, GS13, which is what that position goes to, because I'm gonna actually drop the link in the description below, but that position goes up to GS13, and at GS13 has 10 steps inside of the GS13 pay band. Okay, and I'll probably do another video where I break down and explain what these different pay bands all mean and things like that. But at GS13 starts out at step 1 and it has 10 steps, and it takes several years to step all the way out. But GS13 starts out at step 1 at $109,000. Now at $109,278, and it goes all the way out to $142,065. So you can technically make $142,000 a year working from home as a GS13 in Atlanta. That's crazy. Okay, you can be at home making $142,000 a year from your laptop with an accounting degree, of course. Now, there are other positions that also pay this. I know you can be an HR specialist, program specialist, all sorts of different, I guess, work from home kind of positions. But specifically for the accounting profession, there are tons of opportunities to be making money like that working from home. So 6 figures from home with an accounting degree, with a bachelor's degree. Only need a bachelor's degree for most of these positions. I don't really know of any that only that only go to GS13 that will require you have a CPA or CIMA or CMA or CIA or CDF film or CGF film or CFE. All these different accounting certifications, they're not necessary. They're not necessary to get a GS13 and make 6 figures in Atlanta, Georgia. So let's say you got a position that was a 7, 9, 11, 12, 13. Let's say you got an auditor position that was a 7, 9, 11, 12, 13. I'm only using that because that's the kind of position that I landed when I graduated with my degree. I got a 7, 9, 11, 12, 13. You're a 7 for a year. So you start out as a 7. The next year you can move to a GS9. The next year you can move to a GS11. The next year you can move to a GS12. And then the next year you can move to a GS13. Now, that is four promotions. That's potential because you still have, your supervisor still has to feel like you're ready to move to that next level, but your position is already built in. You never actually have to leave that position. That position will already take you to GS13 in 4 years. So if you started out and you was a GS7, let me see what a GS7 is. GS7 in Atlanta starts out at $51,000. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, right? $51,000, but 4 years later, you could be making $109,000. So that's what I'm talking about. You can, even making $51,000 from home is a decent amount of money to be working from home, right? But the fact that you can be a GS13 working from home and making at some point, if you stayed in that position and rolled it out the rest of your career, $142,000 a year, not to mention cost of living adjustments. So they just had a cost of living adjustment, right? Cost of living adjustment just took GS step one from, GS 13 step one from 104,000 to 109,000. Now, they continue going this way, 2% raises, 5% raises, including your step increases and things like that. Who knows what, I should do a calculation to kind of like guesstimate what GS 13 will pay out in 20 years. Like if you do 20 years, 30 years in your profession, let's say you were 24, 22, 23 when you got your first GS position, and you ride that out for 30 years, right? You were 22 when you started. You'll be 52. That's still not old. That's still not, people working to 65, but you'll have 30 years ready for, you'll be 53 if you started at 23. You'll be 53, 30 years where you can say, you know what, I did my 30, I can, I don't want to say you can retire because, you probably won't get paid yet, but you can say, hey, I'm going to go do something else, and you've already earned a retirement check. But in 30 years, not only will you be making $142,000 a year, you'll be making somewhere way above that, because the cost of living every year, they do a cost of living adjustment where the government says we need to give y'all a raise every year. I don't remember a year where they didn't do a cost of living adjustment and then increase that amount. That $142,000 in 20 years could be $200,000 per year. And not to mention, you've been making money along the way that whole time, but it could be $200,000 a year. It could be $225,000. It could be $250,000 a year over 30 years. I don't really know, but it increased $5,000 just last year. So if it increased $5,000 a year over the course of 30 years, let's say 10 years, if it increased $5,000 a year for 10 years, that's $50,000. Think about that. Now you got 30 more years, you got 20 more years on top of that you could be looking forward to the cost of living adjustment. Now, that's just GS 13. Are there GS 14 positions and GS 15 positions and probably SES positions, which is above GS 15, that also still work from home? Absolutely. Let's look at GS 15. If you were a GS 15 in Atlanta, GS 15s in Atlanta, step one, start out at $151,000. And if they're in an auditor position or an accountant position that is a remote position, then they could make $151,000 working from home. And then GS 15 pay goes in Atlanta from $151,000 to $191,000 at step 10. Okay. It actually tops out at step 9. Step 9 and step 10 are the same amount. They like, yo, we can't even pay y'all no more. It's crazy. We give y'all $191,000 a year. This is crazy. All right. So there you go, folks. I just want to come on here and talk to you guys about this because there's some misconceptions and some misunderstandings about all of this. But can you make $109,000 a year working from home in the city of Atlanta with a GS 13 position? Absolutely. Working from home. That's crazy. Anyway, right now you're watching Casino Is the Name. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we out. There are hedge fund managers making $1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? It's money everywhere. It's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino Is the Name.